Is it hard life for Blue? Is it hard for you? Is it so hard? Oh my. Oh my. Can you stop? You're embarrassing. You're embarrassing. You're embarrassing. And welcome to episode 5 of the Cozy Moth Knits podcast. My name is Caitlin, and you can find me as the Cozy Moth Knits on Instagram and Ravelry, and also here on YouTube, obviously. Instagram is where I am most active, so go ahead and give me a follow over there. I do this podcast bi-weekly, but I try to stay more active on Instagram and keep everyone up to date when I'm finishing up my whips, or working on my whips, I should say, working on my works in progress, finishing up my FOs, and just, you know, living my Instagram life over there. So if you like what you see here, you'll also like it, at least I assume, you'll also like it over on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, give me a follow at the Cozy Moth Knits over there. So here we are, episode 5. I've got my dogs again. The little May. May's feeling really very cry dog today. She wants all the snuggles. And my big dog is sitting on the floor over here. She was crying a little bit when I hit record, so maybe I'll put that in there because she's so pitiful when she cries. She's a big diva. She's our diva dog, as we call her. So yeah, it's been like last episode, I was very scatterbrained, and I'm not as scatterbrained today. But like this morning was a little bit hectic. I got up to leave for work at 6:30 in the morning today, and when I went to go start my car, it was raining and gross because it's been nasty here in Delaware the past it's been nasty here in Delaware the past few days, the remnants of a hurricane or something. So it's just been gross and cold, and like this morning was like a really cold morning, one of our first really cold mornings in a while. So like I walked outside and like kind of hit me, like made me cold immediately. So I went out to my car, filled up with everything, my regular work bag, my project bag, you know, the essentials, and hopped in my car, went to turn it on, and the lights turned on, but the engine didn't turn over. And I was like, oh, come on, really? like, does this really have to happen today? Thankfully, my husband was behind me, so he, you know, graciously went out of the way, actually in the opposite direction of where he was supposed to go to work, and dropped me off at work before he went to work. He works in New Jersey, so it's a bit of a drive for him. Thankfully, I only work 10 minutes away, but yeah, it was a kind of crappy start to our morning. And thank the Lord that my dad lives close enough by that I can call him, be like, hey, I need some help. Both him and my brother are very handy. So with anything, I can call either of them and they'll sorry. I can call them and they'll get it fixed for me, thankfully. So now the car's fine. It just needed a new battery. It was time for a new battery, I guess. I'm at 83,000 miles on it. Yeah, 83,000. And you know, it was time for it. So, and it is what it is. It was just, you know, a lovely start to the weekend. So yeah, like that's just how my day started. I hope your weekend started a little bit better than mine. It could have been worse, obviously, but it was just not a fun way to start the day. So we'll get things started, I guess. Sorry, my little dog is on the bed, and my bed, this room is a mess. So like just like in this little circle, it looks neat, but everywhere around is a mess. And this normally isn't like me. I'm normally a very neat person, but recently I've just been a little bit more messy for some reason. I just don't have the motivation to come into the guest room and clean, or at least the past 2 weeks I haven't been able to, which whatever, it happens. I just shut the door. No one has to see it, right? So yeah, but let's get things started, I guess. I guess we'll start with FOs, and like last week, the only FO I have is the one that I'm wearing now. This is my party top by Abby Knits. And I had fun with it. I jokingly called it like my tiger stripe top last episode because I knit it out of Bumblebee Acres and their squishy DK. It was called Harvest Moon, and in the skein it looked beautiful, and I didn't think about how it's actually self-striping. I was just like, oh, how beautiful, a nice little fade, but of course, like, it looks like, you know, a fade, you know, in the skein, but when you actually cake it up or ball it up or whatever you want to call it, it stripes. So I'm like, okay, I can work with this. I can work with it. And working with the cowl, it looked fine. I liked this this random look and like where the colors broke off and or wherever, and I like how it was turning out. But then once I stopped increasing for the sleeves, it started to have a more uniform like stripe all the way down, and I was not liking it. And last episode you saw I kind of had a little bit of a crisis because I realized how awful, not awful, but like I didn't like how it was turning out. It was not how I pictured it, so I was having a tough time with that. But now I think it turned out nice. So let me turn you around so you can see the full thing. All right, so here we go. Here is my party top in the Bumblebee Acres Harvest Moon colorway, and I like how it turned out. I think it's fun and funky, which is why I kind of went with the fun and funky top bun today. I feel like it matched with the zestiness of this sweater. I think it's fun. I think it's a fun little top, and of course I finished it October 30th. So is it, like, what do you guys think? Do you think it is appropriate to wear this after October? Maybe before Thanksgiving? Or do you think these are good colors that would go good until, or through November, I guess I should say. Yeah, I like how it's showing up on camera. Again, with the Grinch, the ooh, ah, you know, just, I like it. So yeah, I'm happy with the way it turned out. I don't like it nearly as much as my Cozy Classic Raglan. This normally isn't the type of garment that I would gravitate to, but I just thought it would be fun, and again, fun and funky for Halloween. I like the eyelets in the sleeves. That's what like drew me towards the pattern initially. And I feel like it turned out nice with the colorway. I did, right after I filmed and right after I had my little crisis, I realized that, you know, the way it was striping and I didn't like it. As soon as I hit stop recording, I'm like, oh, I could just alternate skeins and that could help with the problem. And it did. There were some parts where I had to like pull out a little bit and like get to a different color because it would like, I can't remember which sleeve, but like one of these sleeves, it starts to like have a similar pattern. I guess like you can kind of see it. Because if you like don't pay attention to it. Oh, there it is, right there. So yeah, I wasn't too thrilled about that little section, but only me and now 1,500 of you know that little spot that I don't like. But that's okay. It adds to the interestingness of the sweater. Yeah, the alternating skeins really helped with that, with the way the colors lined up. And I like how it turned out. I will definitely be wearing it on Halloween day. It's surprisingly cozy, even though it's 3/4 sleeve. I like how it turned out. And I initially picked this pattern to go over a like a swing dress. I had like bought a dress on Unique Vintage on sale because they can get really expensive. But I bought a dress on Unique Vintage, and with the intent of wearing this over the dress. I didn't put it on today. I would like to try it on later and maybe do a little bit of a, what's the word? A little bit of a photo shoot. I'm gonna see if my sister could help me with that. Sorry, this little dog getting into everything. My sister can help me out with that. She's very good at those sort of things. She knows the right angles and stuff. She's just a true millennial Gen Z where they're, you know, prolific, right? Prolific in anything that has to do with social media or, you know, just aesthetics in general. She's very good at that. So I'll try to get her to take some pictures of me in the beautiful fall weather that we're having. Well, not beautiful now, but like it's definitely fall here in Delaware. So that is my party top. And what do you guys think of it? I'm thinking about making another one in black and wearing that, because the dress that I got to go with this is like a deep purple, and then wearing the black over the deep purple dress and then wearing that on Christmas, maybe like a deep purple. I guess I was thinking like a cream color, but I think that would just be too much. I think the black would do really well with it. But we shall see. We'll see how busy I get. During the Christmas season, I do have a few things that I need to work on that I've been putting off. And yeah, I'm not really kind of kicking kicking myself in the butt for putting those off. So I only have, because of that, I only have one whip. And that is that Harry Potter Slytherin scarf that I showed. And I haven't, it's all twisted up. So the story is with this, that a few weeks ago, my sister came to me and asked me to make her friend this Harry Potter scarf, or the Slytherin scarf, because for Christmas last year, I made all of my family, stop crying. For Christmas last year, I made all of my family Harry Potter scarves to match their houses. And my sister and her friend are having a Harry Potter marathon over Halloween weekend. And my sister asked if I could make her friend a scarf. So I obliged, of course. And her friend is a Slytherin. And it's very simple, very easy, but it takes a long time. It's very time consuming because it is a 1x1 rib. So you could spend hours on it. I like wrote this whole Instagram post on it, how you can spend hours on it and like only get like this much done. Like that's like 4 hours. And it can be frustrating. And like I told myself, I'm like, because when she told me this 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, and I'm like, okay, I have 3 weeks to get this done. If I just do one square and stripe section a day, I'll get it done. Like, not a problem. Well, plans I make have, you know, plans, but it doesn't happen. So I only have like, the original scarf is 15 of these squares, and I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I only have 11 working on the 12th square, and I think this is only going to end up being 13 or 14 squares, because then I also have to weave in the ends, and then I have to put tassels. I still have my this scarf that I made for myself. So it's very long scarf, and it has little tassels on it. So yeah, I have to put the tassels on, and like, again, you wouldn't think it's time consuming, but it is. So I told my sister, I'm like, I'm sorry, things came up. I had other projects I was trying to finish. But it'll be a little bit shorter. And of course my sister's like, oh no, don't worry. It's not a big deal, you know, like, but I still feel a little bit bad, but it is what it is. It's due tonight. Cause I'm filming this on a Friday and my sister is going to watch these movies starting tomorrow morning. So I need to have it done for her. So I'll be knitting this as I do a watch through of this podcast. So yeah, that's my only whip. I have a lot of whips on the mind. I know that I still need to finish those Christmas socks. They're my last pair of Christmas socks. I'll probably start working on those this weekend. And I also need to get on that stocking. It's over there in this bag. Where is it? Right there. I need to figure that out. The name of the recipient on the stocking. Apparently the woman who, I'm missing a needle. Oh, there it is. The woman who gave me all the knitting supplies back in late September, whoops, but I told her I would have it done by Thanksgiving, and I will. I promise I will have it done by Thanksgiving. That's 4 weeks away, so that should give me plenty of time. The woman who gave me the materials said that the recipient of the stocking has a long name and it might not fit on the stocking. But she's like, oh, you could just give that person a nickname, and she gave me some nickname options. But I like, yeah, that might be a nickname now, but in the future, it might not be. Like, there was a point in my life where people called me Kate, and now I don't like going by Kate. I want to go by my full name, or my given name, Caitlin, not Kate. So like maybe that would be the same for this recipient as well. So I need to work on getting the full name in. It'll probably, like, if the name is this big on the stocking, maybe I'll make it like this big and a little bit narrower. So I need to do some brain work on that and working that out. So that's been on my mind a lot. So I'll figure that out soon. So that's next. And what else? I have to move that. Oh, I finished my, I sent away 3 hats and a scarf to warm the line. I sent them to Minnesota. So hopefully, I want, like, let me know if any of you guys also sent stuff away for Warm the Line, to give a, I guess it's too late to do anything now because by the time this comes up, it's 2 days before the election. The US election, I should say. Presidential election. But for those of you who were unaware, Warm the Line was an initiative to send knitwear stuff like hats, scarves, mittens, cowls, you know, anything like that, and sending them away to places where it's inevitable that there's going to be long lines of polling places, and it's probably going to be cold and snowy, and people are going to have to stand in line. People are going to have to stand in line for long periods of time. And she's ornery today. You're ornery. Maybe I should have cleaned up the room. That's my fault. But anyway, people are going to be standing in lines for long periods of time, and we don't want that to deter voters standing in line. Yes, it's awful, and it shouldn't be this way. We all know this, that we shouldn't have to stand in line for hours on end to vote. Especially after you get in there and the whole second, or the whole process is like less than 2 minutes. Like the voting, I mean, like getting in there and punching your buttons or whatever. I know every state and every region is different, which it shouldn't be, but you know how it goes. So yeah, I sent those knitwear products, hats and scarves away to Minnesota, and I hope that they get used. Very happy to do so, and I would definitely do it again in another 4 years, or in 2 years during the next election, for, you know, House of Representatives, Senate, you know, like all that stuff. So yeah, it was nice to do that, to drop off, or not to get rid of, but to donate, you know, some projects that were finished and had just been sitting around in my house, and I'm happy that they're being put to a great purpose. So let me know in the comments if you also did this, whether you heard it from me, or if you saw it on Instagram, or if another YouTuber that you watch, podcaster, is also did that. You can see her in the reflection. She's being ornery. Thank you for giving me trash. You proud of yourself? You proud? You see her moving her head. Hey, are you proud of yourself for giving me this trash? Are you proud? Maybe. I know you guys like the puppies, so I'm going to show her off as often as I can. So where were we? Oh, so again, let me know in the comments below if you also did warm the line and what you sent away, and you know, and if you did, I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you did that, and if not, then no worries. You know, it is what it is. Everyone has their different, you know, it takes time to knit up a hat or a scarf or whatever. And I just happened to have stuff laying around, and I made like one extra one. So that's what I did. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit scatterbrained today. I can't really get my thoughts. Like, I have all this stuff up here, and then getting it out, it's, you know how it goes. I hope, maybe, I don't know. So I mentioned last podcast that I was going to do a little bit of a Q&A if any of you guys had any questions for me. So I have my last episode up. I'm going through the comments and answering some of your questions that you guys have about me and about my knitting. So the first one I'll start with is from, I'm so sorry, like I'm horrible with names, so if I butcher your name, I apologize. I feel you. My maiden name was also hard to pronounce and no one pronounced it right. Even like my current last name, phonetically, it sounds like it would be phonetically spelled, but people still mess it up all the time, so whatever, I guess. So the first question is from Aisha Marta Jojo. I hope I said that correctly. Her question is, do you have any other crafts or have other creative interests? Are you someone who can knit anywhere, or do you prefer a certain setting? So I don't do any other crafts. I basically stuck with knitting, and that's it. I've attempted crocheting. I just had like a huge mental block with it. I can't figure it out. Maybe I'll give it another try. So, and yeah, like I can't draw, I can't paint, like I'm not very creative, or I don't have a mind like that. My sister and, you know, my other siblings, like they have beautiful creative minds. You know, they're both artists and abstract thinkers and musicians, and like they got all that. I got like I can, you know, knot together some yarn. But you know, whatever. I like the idea. I've been thinking more and more about spinning. I would like to learn how to spin. I always loved seeing those spinning wheels in, you know, my local yarn store, and I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to have one of those. And I know a family who might be getting some sheep, so if they don't have anyone to give the wool to when they have to shear the sheep, maybe I could, you know, get some wool from them maybe. But yeah, like I like that idea. It's always interests me. I've just never done it. I've never learned, but I have a bunch of videos saved in my YouTube playlist to learn how to do it. Because YouTube is such a great resource. YouTube is part of the reason why I started knitting seriously again, because I can just, you know, if I'm having trouble with a certain stitch or a certain technique, all I have to do is type it into YouTube and I learn it right then and there, and I can go back to it if I need to. And so yeah, I'm sure that there's plenty of resources on spinning on YouTube. For the second part of the question, are you someone who can knit anywhere, or do you prefer a certain setting? I can knit anywhere. I even knit at work sometimes. Like with my job, I have a lot of downtime. Like there's times where the phone just doesn't ring for hours. Sometimes like people aren't in the office for long periods of time. So instead of me, you know, sitting on my phone, or like if there's literally nothing else for me to do at work, stop it. If there's literally nothing else for me to do at work, then I'll break out the knitting and do a couple rows. Like I finished the cuff on this sleeve this morning and weaved in the ends at work because there wasn't anything for me to do at work. But you know, it is what it is. So I could do that. I can knit in the car. I knit while I watch TV or YouTube. Like I've knit at parties before. I'll knit anywhere. Sometimes it can get embarrassing, like when I pull out like knitting and like I haven't knit at church yet. I also have a bunch of responsibilities at church where if I like knitting would like distract me from those responsibilities. So haven't done that yet. Maybe if I don't have those responsibilities anymore, I'll whip them out. I mean, like you know, there's a time and place, obviously. But yeah, I'll knit anywhere. Nothing really, not much can deter, like I'm aware of what's around me, obviously, but not much can deter me from breaking out my knitting. I even knit at a party recently, only because there was someone else there who like broke out her knitting, and I was like, you knit too? So cool. And I like ran to my car, got my current project, and like brought it back out. And so yeah, that was fun and exciting. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Oh, so you guys have had a lot to say about my Addy interchangeable needles, and I really appreciate all the comments. These are probably comments I would have needed several weeks ago, but you know, fine, whatever. I didn't put out there and ask. So yeah, what I showed on my last episode was not really, I want to say indicative. Indicative isn't the right word. It doesn't really represent how the Addies work. I am fine with them. I'm content with them. I am aware that there are better ones out there. Like everyone always raves about the Chiagoo interchangeables. I'm just not a Chiagoo person. Maybe that'll change in the future. I mean, yeah, like last episode, I just kept all that in the episode because I thought it was funny, like, and kind of ironic. But yeah, like I'm not having any issues with the needles. It definitely takes some getting used to. And I do prefer to use my just regular circulars if I can. Like if a circular in that size is already being used or whatever, then yes, I will use interchangeables. But my interchangeables aren't my go-to because I already have so many circulars, if that makes any sense. But yeah, obviously if I don't have like a size 4, you know, a size US 4 with a 32-inch cable, then yeah, I'm gonna go to my interchangeables. But like recently, like the past 2 weeks, I haven't even touched them because I just haven't had a need for them. So again, I appreciate all your feedback, and maybe in the future I'll start gearing towards Chiagoo, and maybe I'll just get some different interchangeables. But I haven't had I really haven't had any issues with them. The little time I've been using them, again, I just kept that in the video because I thought it was funny. But I appreciate it, and yeah, basically, I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. Like, you know, like, oh, these are great, these are fine, and then they just kept, you know, coming undone, and like I was having such a hard time with them. But yes. So we will go to the next one. The next question. Celeste DeVille. She asks, she has a lot to say. Is there a scent to the candle you are burning? Yes, the candle I was burning last episode, I actually talked about it initially, but I never, but then I ended up cutting it out because I thought it was boring. But the candle I was burning was actually a candle that I made. So exciting. There is this place in Philadelphia, and like there's a couple places all over the country. It's called Paddywax, and Paddywx. And it's a place where you make candles. So it's kind of like, you know, in suburban America, there's like painting with a twist, where like, you know, you sit there and someone teaches you how to paint this picture, and you drink wine or coffee or whatever, and it's a fun time, and you're there with a bunch of other people. It was like that, except making candles. And they had different types of vessels and all kinds of different scents, and it was just such a fun time. I went with my friend a couple weeks ago, and so that's why I put in the back. And you know, you couldn't really see it, but I was proud of it. And the colors mesh well with my living room, which is which I didn't intend for it to be this way. My living room is kind of like it's like white and different shades of blue, like mostly navy and light blue with some gold accents and some dark wood furniture. And I was like, oh, this vessel would go great. It's like white and speckled. If I got up and moved, then the dogs will. But maybe I'll put a picture of it on Instagram or something. But that scent was called Amberwood and Cedar. No, Cedar and Amber. It's like, yes, Cedar and Amber, Cedar wood and amber, or something of those lines. I'm very much a person who likes like manly smells. So you got your woods, you got your I don't know, like I just like it's very it's like how do I put it? I can't really like describe it. Like the type of smells I either like fresh and clean smells. Like I normally don't go towards like food smelling candles, like a lot of people like you know, like French vanilla or like sugar cookie or stuff. And like, I normally don't go for that. Or like a fruit, like an apple or something. I normally don't go for that. I go for more fresh smells, like flowery smells, or like clean linen or something of that nature. Or I go for like, there's one from Bath and Body Works, like peppered suede is good. Like I like, you know, the patchouli smells, like those are my perfect smells. The candle that I'm burning now actually goes against everything I just said that I don't like. And it is Sweet Cinnamon Pumpkin. And I just liked how it looked back here with just the white or just the glass. I don't know, I like it. And that's why it's only in a little guy, because I can only take a little bit of it at a time. I normally don't burn candles often because it gives me a headache. I'm prone to getting migraines and like nose and smells and audible and light, like they all trigger migraines. Like I can feel them coming on now, but you know, you got it with the aesthetics. I have to deal with the headache to get the aesthetics. You know how it goes. But yeah, like I normally don't burn candles for very long because it gives me a headache. There was another question. Is that your full stash behind you? Again, Celeste. No, this is not my full stash. How I have it organized is down here is Schackenmeyer, Schackenmeyer sock yarn, or 99% of it is. Like over here is kind of some little like no name whatever, but yeah, it's mostly Schackenmeyer sock yarn. And up here I like to keep my indie yarns, and some of them are still on the bed because I didn't put them back. Up here I like to keep my indie yarns, and because I feel like they deserve place of honor. I do have, I think I'll just get it out. I have in front of me some of my stash. Ugh. This is mostly bulky and worsted and Aran weight yarn that I just like had from the beginning of my knitting times, or stuff that was gifted to me. I normally don't knit anything larger than, or more recently, I haven't knit anything larger, or like, what am I trying to say? The yarn I gravitate to is normally DK weight or thinner. Like I normally don't go for a worsted, or a bulky. Like it's just not something that I've been preferring lately. I can appreciate it, absolutely. It's just not something that I've been gravitating towards. I normally stick with the sock weight yarn or the DK. Some of the stuff I've had forever, like I've had this for years. I bought this yarn at a yarn store in Cape Charles, Virginia. I don't even remember what it was called, but I liked it a lot, and maybe I could get another pair of socks out of this. Pardon me. Maybe I need to learn how to like, oh my goodness, I need to learn how to like weigh yarn and determine how much of it is in a ball, or, you know, whatever. I need to learn how to do that. I need to get a scale. There's so many things, so much I have to learn. But I'm working on it. So yeah, like I just got a lot of random stuff. Like this little guy. Like it's cool looking, but like I just like don't know what to. And like this is fine. Like I like the color, it's pretty, but it's like, it's acrylic, I believe. And it's a little rough. So like I don't know what I would make out of this. I don't know. I know it will come to me one day what to make with all this stuff. So there's this. Where to put it? There's that. And then I have this guy. And this is full of, because I had overbought yarn for all the Harry Potter sweaters I was gonna, or Harry Potter scarves I made last year. So I have a lot of Gryffindor red. I have some Hufflepuff yellow. And I think that's all I have left. So, and this is all, oh, and then this random red heart. So I need to figure out what to do with this. It's DK weight in acrylic. So not sure what to do with it. Again, it'll come to me. Maybe someone else will ask for a Harry Potter scarf. And hopefully it's Gryffindor because I have plenty of that. So yeah, that's the rest of my stash. I used to have it in, because I have, this isn't a whole set, surprisingly. This is just a vanity. There is a mirror that goes on top of it, but I took it out, or took it off and have it in storage. And this is half of a bookshelf. There's 2 more sections, and it's just a regular bookshelf. But I like the idea of having this on here and putting my yarn in, and has a nice little backdrop for my podcast. And yeah, I just like how it looks. Where was I go? Okay, I used to store all my yarn in this bookshelf, you know, with the other 2 sections of it. But then I just decided, like, you know what? Like, I wanted to look aesthetically pleasing. So not that Gryffindor red isn't aesthetically pleasing, but that's just what I preferred to do with this bookshelf. Another question asked by Hilda Campbell. She's not the only one to ask this. I get asked this pretty much every week and I feel bad. I'm always asked, where do I get my patterns for my Arna and Carlos projects? And I get them from their website, arnaandcarlos.com. Under their shop, you can buy the patterns. So that's where I got all the patterns for my Christmas socks. That's where I got the pattern for those mesh bags that I showed a couple episodes ago. That's where you can get all that information. And they also have, you know, the yarn listed as well. And I like to do the suggested yarn if I can. I know you don't always have to, obviously, like, but I like the way, at least for their patterns, at least for these sock patterns that I'm doing, I like the way the colors look, and like they obviously know what colors work well and what don't. So I just went with what they said, which is why I have so much Shockemeyer yarn. But yeah, that's where you get Arna and Carlos sock patterns, any sort of pattern that they do from their website. I don't think they're on, I don't think they sell them on Ravelry, or at least I haven't checked. Okay, these are a couple of questions on the Cozy Classic Raglan I finished. My hair is just flying everywhere. I guess that's what I get for putting it up in a style that I don't normally do. That's a skill I don't have, is hair and makeup. So a Blackbird's Books asked, again, had a question on my Cozy Classic Raglan, with the bell sleeves. She says, did you do the bell sleeve doing all decreases in the last row? Yes, I did. That's what Jessie said to do, Jessie May. There was no decreases all throughout the sleeves except in the last row before the ribbing. I think it turned out great. I didn't feel like I needed to decrease in the sleeves. I was a little bit worried when I first was knitting it because I feel like it didn't look right. But then as soon as I decreased, I think it was you knit together all the stitches, knit 2 together all the way through except for the last 4 for some reason. Sorry. And yeah, and then it made a perfect bubble. And I love how it turned out. I was a little worried at first because there was no decreases, but it ended up turning out perfectly. So don't second guess. don't question Jessie and her pattern making skills. It was perfect. She asked another question. Are you able to knit without watching your hands? Yes. If it is, obviously, if there's, you know, lace work or color work, obviously I can't not look. But most of the time, like I do a lot of knitting in front of the television or in front of my laptop. So yes, when it's mostly like just garter stitch or just purl stitch or, you know, a method or, what's the word? Like a pattern that like requires no thinking. Like I can knit without watching my hands, and it's a conversation starter. like I said, sometimes I knit at work, and sometimes a patient will come up and be like, oh, what are you knitting? And I tell them, and they're like, oh, can you knit without watching your hands? Like, yes, I can. Like, oh, that's so cool. To me, it's like, oh yeah, of course I can, but like not everyone can, obviously. How did you teach yourself to do that? I just started doing it. I just felt like, I remember distinctly when I was younger, you know, I like got, sorry, my dog's going crazy. She's getting her zoomies out. But I remember distinctly when I was younger and like getting the hang of garter stitch and sitting on my couch watching television and just knitting without watching. And in my back of my head, I'm like, I am so cool. I'm so cool. I can do this without looking. I am just a pro. I'm a pro. Like, I don't have to learn anymore. You know, like, this is my biggest accomplishment in life, is knitting without watching my hands. But I just, I just got the hang of it and I just gave it a try. And like, there's nothing wrong with looking down at your work every once in a while, but like, I just did it. I guess I just, practiced long enough that I was like, okay, let me give it a try. And it turned out okay. I mean, like, there are obviously risks when you do that, because I definitely have dropped a stitch, or, when you're supposed to do knit, purl, it's purl, knit, purl, knit. And I had to, go back, walk it back a little bit. But, that's part of the territory, I guess, when you do that. And I think that was the last question. There were some good questions. I enjoyed it. I also got a lot of comments on my past video. It was very encouraging, all very encouraging. I feel like the number one thing that people talked about were my Addy interchangeables. And then the second topic that everyone talked about was how in my last video I talked about how I wanted to contribute more to the community, but I wasn't sure how that was going to look. And I had mentioned, playing with this, sorry. I had mentioned possibly, getting into dyeing yarn or making notions or handbags or doing something to like contribute to the community in terms of selling something to the community. And to me, that's just like a no-brainer. Like, to me, in my head, that's like, okay, that's the next step. Like as some of you may have noticed, I surpassed the point where I can put ads on my YouTube videos now. Brings in the tiniest little bit of revenue, but at least it's a little bit of something. So it's like, okay, make the podcast, get a follow, or like, develop rapport among my followers, surpass 1,000 subscribers, start putting ads in my videos. And it's like, okay, now what? So for me, the next step was like, okay, making something for the community and selling it or whatever. So that's just like how my mind was thinking. But a lot of you guys said that you liked watching me because I didn't do that. That I wasn't none of you guys said this directly, but basically I wasn't selling anything to anyone. Which was interesting to me because like there's some podcasters I watch who, yeah, they make yarn or they make notions or they make project bags. But in my head, I'm like, oh, they're not selling something to me. They're showing me the process of doing this and the work that they put into it. Because I'm the type of person who, like a lot of the YouTubers I watch, they're like artists, where it's like, oh, draw with me, or, a studio vlog, or, watch my process of how I, pack orders or like do, and that's something that appeals to me as a person. And so in my head, it's like, oh, this is a small creator who is focused on their passion, which is dyeing yarn or, making notions or whatever. And I see that and I'm like, well, I want to support them so they can continue to do that because what they're making is beautiful and I want them to continue to do that. But, pardon me, but that's just how I think, and I'm learning that not everyone thinks that way. And you're allowed to think that way. I totally understand sometimes creators, not in the knitting community that I know of, but sometimes people can be sneaky and are trying to sell something, or they started a YouTube channel so that they can promote their products, which I get it. You're a small business, you're trying to do that, but it can be a little controversial. Like, you think about these large YouTubers who have young audiences and they just like promote their merch the whole time, like promote the merch, and like that can get a little dangerous. But again, so I was talking to my husband about it, and now I see both sides and I understand where you guys are coming from, and I appreciate you all saying that you like my content and that I don't need to do anything extra to keep your guys' attention or to contribute to the community. I can still contribute to the community without selling something. So I appreciate that. And that makes me feel better about what I'm doing here. maybe in the future I'll still do it, but I would hope that if I decided to, you know, I mentioned spinning, if I like decided to like spin fibers or like, you know, or dye yarn, and if I wanted to sell it, that I wouldn't be letting any of you down. That's just, it's just, you know, something that I think about, you know, but I don't understand if, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. But again, I would just hope that if that was the direction I decided to go into, that I wouldn't let my viewers down. I don't know. Cause like a lot of things that I like watch YouTubers, I'm not equating myself to a YouTuber, you know, like I'm not doing that. But things that I watch YouTubers go through and dealing with, you know, people who have, I haven't experienced any, people who deal with nasty comments or like thinking about their audience and not wanting to let them down. I'm like starting to understand that now. Like, you know, I was talking through it with my husband and I was like, well, if like all these people are saying that they watch me because I don't sell a product, and what if I do decide to do that one day? Like, then am I letting them down? Like, am I gonna lose their viewership? You know, like things that you think about. So yeah, so, but I appreciate all those comments. They were very encouraging and, you know, told me that like, okay, what I'm doing is fine. Like, I don't have to continue to go up the ladder so quickly and move from one step to the next so quickly, even though things are naturally moving quickly, that I don't have control over, obviously. It's just, I just need to learn. I just need to step back and just know that what I'm doing now is good enough, at least for right now. Right? I hope so. But I'm open to any suggestions from everyone. I really, you know, one of my knitting friends, you know, was giving me some ideas of, you know, like, because I like mentioned those things to her as well, and like she knows people who like only reviews patterns or like only reviews yarn, and like I like that's cool too. Like, but I don't know, that's just like, I feel like I've mentioned my Enneagram status or, you know, type in the past, but like as a type 2, like I just want to continue to give of myself to, and you know, what I put my heart and soul into what I make and present it to the world. And you know, that's just how I express myself. So maybe it's just my Enneagram type 2 talking that's telling me, you know, like, you need to move on to the next thing. You need to, you know, show your appreciation for everyone by giving them something of you that can be purchased. Which maybe, like, clearly that isn't the right way to think. But I'm just talking it through, I guess. You know, you guys are my therapist right now, just talking it through, I guess. So last thing I wanted to talk about was something that I'm very excited for. So pretty much immediately after I posted my last episode, I normally post these episodes like right before I go to church on Sunday. And because then that gives me like several hours where I'm not like constantly looking at my phone and like being anxious about viewership and like whether people are liking it or not. It like gives me a moment to like separate myself from it, and then I can come back to it later in the afternoon. But that's just how it ended up being. Like, I didn't intend for it to be that way. But immediately after I posted my last episode, I was sitting in church and I got a notification that a pattern had been downloaded. Like I got a notification from Ravelry, like an email that was like, oh, pattern ready to download. You know how Ravelry is, where they email you the patterns. And I'm like, I didn't buy any patterns. I'm like, was this like an update maybe? Like the name didn't like look familiar to me, or like the name of the pattern. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, was my Ravelry account hacked? I'm like, because I don't have any like forms of payment hooked up to it. So, or like, so I was like confused for like a hot second. So I opened up the email and it was from Judy Jewell of the Autumn Acorn. And she had sent me this sweet email saying, you know, like, I've really been enjoying your podcast. And thank you very much, by the way. I've really been enjoying your podcast. And I recently, you know, put together this pattern. It's called the Pajama Cardigan. And I wanted to gift it to you. And I'm like, this is so sweet. Like, that was like so awesome of her because, you know, patterns are, you know, again, pattern writers, they put their heart and soul into it and they put it out there. And of course they need to be compensated for the amount of time that they put into it, right? So the fact that she like gifted it to me was like awesome. I was so happy. And I was like, oh, that's the sweetest thing. So I like took a look at it. I have it right here. I have it printed out. I was like flipping through it and like, you know, marking, you know, my size. And I purchased the yarn last week. It's coming, it's the suggested yarn. It's coming from Portugal. So who knows when it's gonna get here. But we shall see. But I'm excited to get it on the needles. And again, I was talking to my husband the other night about, you know, the status of my channel and moving forward and talking through things. And I had a couple glasses of wine. So like all my thoughts are just pouring out. And I like have a moment where I'm like, wait a second. In the email that Judy sent me, she said that she wanted to, you know, gift a pattern to one of my viewers as like a giveaway thing. And I'm like, you know what would be awesome is if I did a knit along with, you know, the Pajama Cardigan pattern. And I'm like, this is a great idea. This is the best idea I've ever had. You know, like, because I've been engaging with you guys and I was doing giveaways very early on, and that's what keeps people coming back, right? You know, and I'm like, well, I don't have all the time and resources to do giveaways every week. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to, they're a lot of fun and I have fun putting them together, but like, I can't do that all the time. So I reached out to Judy first thing in the morning the next day and I presented this idea and I'm like, we could call it the Cozy Acorn Cozy Acorn Knit Along. You know, a combination of both of our names. I'm like, and it could be a lot of fun. You know, we could do it from mid-November to the end of the year. Like, what do you think? Like, does this sound like a good idea to you? Like, you know, obviously it's my first time ever doing this. I haven't even participated in a knit along personally, or at least not officially. And, you know, like, am I doing this the right way? Like, I want to make sure that I get her approval because I just don't want to be like, oh, let's all do a knit along on this person's pattern that, like, I haven't met in person, I haven't talked to about it. And of course she emailed me back immediately and thought it was a great idea. And I'm so happy that she thought it was a great idea because I feel like this is going to be so much fun. So I have some information. I'm going to go into more detail about it next week, or next episode, but be prepared because November 15th through December 30th or 31st is going to be the Cozy Acorn Cow, and we're going to be knitting the Pajama Cardigan by Judy Jewell of the Autumn Acorn. And look how cute and cozy this looks. It has little thumb holes. I mean, I saw the thumb holes and I died. It just looks so comfy cozy. And I've been, oh, look at this. Look at this. So cozy. But I've been using some of my bigger cardigans as robes recently. And I'm like, I should probably make one of my own, right? And then here comes this pattern dropped in my lap. The Cozy Acorn Cow. That's going to be the hashtag Cozy Acorn Cow. You can find that on, that's where you all are going to post your stuff on Instagram. I'm going to make a Ravelry group and it'll be ready come the next episode. Again, hashtag Cozy Acorn Cow. So the cow will run from November 15th, which will be when my next podcast will come out, November 15th to December 31st. And I feel like that hopefully will give us enough time for all of us to knit. I know it's during the holidays, but you know, it's in a bulkier weight yarn. and it seemed, and Judy seemed to think that that was enough time to knit one of these. It's a worsted weight, so it's a little bit thicker. Again, November 15th to December 31st, it's a month and a half to knit the cardigan. There will be prizes, and there will be more information to come on that in the weeks to come. And I am going to open this giveaway internationally. I feel bad because a lot of you guys, you know, the past 2 giveaways, I restricted it only to the US, but now I'm going to open it internationally. And so that everyone can participate. This isn't just going to be the US only. So moving on from that, but also kind of staying on the same track. With all that being said, Judy has graciously said that she's going to give away 2 free versions of this pattern to 2 of my viewers. And that's going to be this week's giveaway. The chance to win a free copy of the Pajama Cardigan pattern. So, and the winners will be announced next week or next episode. So in order to enter the giveaway, all you need to do is comment down below and talk about how you get cozy. Like what you do, like what preparations do you take to get cozy? Like for me, I put a kettle on, heat up some, heat up some water, get myself some tea, whether that be decaffeinated or heavily caffeinated. I put on a big old hoodie and my sweatpants and my my slippers and my socks, and I get myself a blanket and I sit on the couch and I turn on Netflix and I start to binge watch whatever I want to watch that day. So that is what I do to get cozy, and I would like to hear what you guys do as well. Maybe you also do the same thing, or you have a little bit of a different routine. Comment down below to enter the giveaway, and we'll find out next week who wins those 2 copies of those patterns. And I will have more information to come on the knit along. Oh, and also, I have such a long list of stuff to talk about. Also, because Judy is just the greatest, she's just the sweetest, for those of you who will inevitably not win the giveaway, she is also offering 25% off of her pattern to my viewers. So I'm going to put up here the coupon code if you want to get started now. If you want to start to plan, because you got 2 weeks to plan. I did use I did buy the suggested yarn myself, but I don't know when it's going to come in. If I don't get it come next week, I'm going to have to buy something else, which can only be bought in Portugal. But you're going to need anywhere from 1,400 to 2,400 yards of worsted weight yarn. She says any wool and cotton blend. The one that I bought was 50% wool, 50% cotton. So just, keep that in mind if you need to start planning. I am knitting a large on myself, and that's going to be about 1,800 yards of yarn. So again, keep that in mind. I feel like this could be something that we can all knit during our holiday, both Thanksgiving through Christmas. Because, I'm sure we all get tired of knitting Christmas related stuff, right? So maybe you can take a break and knit this. And it's super simple. Right? It looks really simple. I haven't started it yet, but it's knit and garter stitch or knit and purl stitch. It seems very easy to construct in a good way, of course. So I hope you all are excited for that. This is my first knit along, obviously, and I hope you guys participate. And if it turns out well, I will definitely do more in the future. Maybe this will be my calling, knit alongs. So that's all I have for you today. This is another long one. I feel like the more episodes I do, the longer they get. I just need to learn to cut it down, I guess. So yeah, Thank you all again so much for joining me. It was super great visiting you, as it always is. I'm loving getting to know you guys and learning more about the community, and I love getting messages from you guys and talking with you and just engaging. I'm making new friends every week, and it's awesome. I'm really enjoying my time that I get to spend with you guys every couple weeks, and intermittently on Instagram as well. So again, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram, again, the Cozy Moth Knits. So stay safe out there, keep on knitting, and I will see you all later.